Well, I'll call to order the meeting of the North Hero Cemetery Commission on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 at, I don't know, 5:25 PM. At the North Hero Town Office Boardroom. This is an in-person meeting. Looks like all board members are present. We have adjustments to the agenda. There's a warrant that I'll pass around for the Quantum, the yearly Quantum. $410 for the yearly Quantum software fees. One set around. Everybody can sign it.
Cheers. It's the one under the investments.
Yeah, adjustments to the agenda because we didn't know we had a warrant and I did the agenda and posted it, so it's probably the right spot to stick it. And then as an additional adjustment to the agenda, and it should be in your packets, there's a couple of deeds that, there were lots that I sold, or they were actually a Hazen, but Kimberly Hazen Leonard, in Jerusalem, there were two adjoining lots. It was brought to our attention that there was no section located on the deeds. And in that one cemetery, it's the only one that we have that has sections, but the sections A, B, and C, when they renumbered. So these lots were listed just as Jerusalem Cemetery, row L, lots 3 and 4. Well, there's 3 different row L, lots 3 and 4, depending on which section. So we made an amended deed, and they're gonna send to the owners the amended deed with the addition of putting in section B. We just wrote it in to show, you know, where it is, but she put it in, built it into the deed, and then explained that the deed was issued to correct the original. So there'd be a record of that.
And was that with a new map? So it wasn't an issue of whether the stuff was even there? The
Right,
lots were
it
even,
was-
they were all, they were there and everything.
They were there, it was just, and when I made out the burial lot purchase form, I put section B, but the problem is there was nothing in the deed literature to show a section. All it had was row and lot.
Okay.
So what Lisa did is on the deed format, you know, in the computer, she added a section when she does anything in Jerusalem where it'll show the section.
Great.
So it shouldn't happen again.
Awesome.
Any other adjustment that anybody has to the agenda? Okay, moving on, election of officers. We always go through this. Last year, we had myself as chair, Bob Greeno as vice chair, Tracy as secretary, Mike in as treasurer, and Mike as deputy registrar. And duties and responsibilities of officers, the agenda and organizing the meetings was the chair. Budget, all members, burial lot sales, all members, burial coordination, all members, burial recording, all members, field research, Bob and Tracy. veteran status, Mike and meeting minutes, Mary DiTilio.
Okay. We're gonna go back to adjustments for just a minute.
Yep,
I was gonna say this at the end. This would be my last meeting.
okay.
I'm not contributing anything.
Well, we don't mind having you on here.
Well, you know where I am.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
ever has any questions?
yeah,
Either been, it's either 19 or 20 years I've been on the board.
okay.
Yeah,
No,
and just,
thanks for all you've done.
the thing is, I'm not contributing anything to that.
Well, you are.
Yeah, I
You
would
are,
say that, Bob.
you're contributing a lot more than what you realize. Anytime I have a question, you're the first call that I'll make, and it doesn't
You
really,
can still do that.
well, I know, but, if you didn't have to do anything other than to possibly come to a meeting or two a year,
Yeah.
but, that's certainly up to you.
I'd rather see another person on here that you're comfortable with,
Yeah,
okay?
do you have any suggestions?
No, I don't.
No, all right,
I'm sort of like the historian.
Yes.
I know. The historian on the board.
yeah,
The institutional memory,
Exactly.
which is very necessary.
yeah, it really is. Well, that's fine, I thank you for what you've put in to the board, and we are what we are because of you, really. I mean, if you have a change of heart,
Tracy and Mike are the same thing.
well, if you have a change of heart, let me know. I don't know what the procedure is.
You know, the other problems I have, so.
Yeah. And I can respect that. I'm not sure if you have to write a letter of resignation or not, but, I'll find out from Corinne. If you
Okay.
step off from the board.
Okay.
But we'll,
I talked to her about it the other day.
she didn't say a word to me.
Yeah, but she did tell us that you were coming.
Yeah.
And early, you really must find.
Well, I know you really didn't wanna re-up this last time, and, I thank you for doing that
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
you are really valued, so. It's all I can say
Oh,
on that.
boy, been on 7 boards and committees.
Well, this is probably the
Oh,
one I
well,
enjoyed.
it's
the
been
most.
fun.
All right,
So Lisa would be just as historical.
Yeah, well,
thanks again. So we'll, on a future meeting, I guess we'll have to bring that up on the agenda and discuss where we wanna go from
yeah,
here.
I'm guessing we have to put a letter or a warning out
Yeah.
for, but we should be thinking about maybe
Yeah. Well,
someone.
if anybody on the board has somebody they, know that would like to step in here. We'll pass that around, and then at our next meeting, we can vote to deal with it.
We could think of someone on the north end.
Mm.
And that might. Just a thought, for a geographical, just, that's someone, I don't know.
No, yeah.
Somebody.
So many new people here, I don't know.
Yeah, but, the cemetery committee, it's something nobody really thinks much about, but there's quite a bit to it and
Yeah.
a lot of history and,
Yeah.
it is kind of fun.
Yeah.
so.
Okay,
Okay, so getting back to our officers, I don't mind being chair again. And I said this last year, if somebody else wants to step up and be chair.
No, we're
I-
good.
Newer blood maybe, or something like that, with newer ideas. And I
3
gotta-
years ago, I made a suggestion. It was a good suggestion to have you.
Well, yeah, but, in all fairness, I'm more than willing to stake out the lots and do all of the stuff that I do now. If somebody else wants to take a turn at running the group, organizing the meetings, and, being chair is nothing more than, organizing the meetings and putting out the agenda, which isn't much work. And then the other part of it is, just the incidental things that come up when you get the phone call, and there's a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
does anybody wanna step up?
We're good.
All right, well, does anybody wanna be a vice chair?
I'll be that,
Okay,
and I'll continue with my other role.
Yeah.
your deputy registrar,
Yes, I-
whatever that happens to be.
Double duty.
Yeah. All right, that sounds great. Um. So, and the duties and responsibilities, I mean, basically, we all have the ability to do everything.
Yeah.
And,
Steve,
you know,
I think.
if one person steps back and the other person can do it, anybody can sell a lot. And, you know, I think they have in the past, so. You know, just looks like, the only thing that's really isolated are the veteran status, and that's what you could do, so. And if you need any hand with that, then, and we can discuss that, about the flags, you know, when that comes up. So I guess, at this point,
I make a motion to put forth that,
One ballot.
yes.
uh,
So Frank is chair, vice chair Mike, treasurer Mike and Tracy, secretary, and Mary clerk.
all those in favor,
I,
opposed? It passed. And responsibilities and duties,
Nobody seconded. I'll second.
okay, and, as far as the responsibilities that, you know, there's no reason to change anything like that. So that goes along with, it's all included in the names. Okay, so we have our meeting minutes of September 28th, 2024. And it has the amended budget at the end. Remember, Corinne had something that she had to change out. And, we had it all done, and I had cut and pasted it on the minutes. And the last page of the 4-page minutes is the budget that she sent us, so. Can look through that, and if there's no need for changes, we can vote to accept those minutes.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of September 28th, 2024, with the amended budget.
Tracy and Macon. So that motion is passed. And then, front fence painting and repair South End Cemetery. We gotta do something this year. I don't mind, like, bringing a piece of plywood over, and we'll get a few cans of, you know, some metallic paint, maybe the stuff that we talked about.
isn't it special paint?
There is, but you all said it wasn't the right one, so,
We did?
yeah.
Oh.
The one I was recommended by the blacksmith.
Oh. Yeah, that should be okay. I mean, that should be, what if a blacksmith recommended it? We should try to look in that, and I'll go back in the records and see if I can dig up and we can get hold of something.
I have it cause I have it for this railing.
Oh, okay,
So I can-
Paint?
Well, I have a can of it so that I
Okay.
would keep it and labeled it.
where did you get it?
I can't, yeah, that was a long time ago now,
Okay.
but, there's probably something, I think it might be automotive,
Okay,
but,
shoot me an email
Okay.
with what it is,
Yeah.
and we'll see if we can get some, and you wanna.
cause
get it
metallic,
done, or
yeah.
We can have a little work party or something
Yeah.
and go over and do it.
I'm
Okay.
We'll work on that.
not gonna try to bend anything back then.
No, I don't think so. I mean, probably, I mean, we could mess around with it, but, we might end up having to have somebody. There are some broken brackets and things like that, but, and we do want to take care of that fence, so. I think if we get it painted, then we can at the time assess. You know, and like, we can get nuts and bolts for it to put things back together, but if there's anything that needs metal crafting, then we'll deal with, maybe that guy in Swan, where we went before, but
I think there is this, cause he came into the shop in the fall, somebody moved here.
Oh, really?
that's a blacksmith. Cause he
Oh.
was looking for tools. Of course, I didn't think to
Yeah.
get name and numbers, but I will pay attention to that if he comes
You
around.
could ask him, front porch.
Yes, front
Yeah.
porch floor,
The
yeah.
guy who was in the.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Any blacksmiths?
Corinne might know, actually.
Well,
Lisa,
Somebody's,
too, she's a wealth of, I'll check with
yeah,
them and see if
Lisa
they.
would probably know, you know, because the store is kind of a big information.
Yeah, and I have a feeling it's down on that end, so, I'll check with that.
So you're gonna do that this year, this season?
Yeah, I think we need
Yeah.
to because it's starting to show some.
Bob,
Hopefully the window stuff.
did the Foley's pay for that?
Excuse me?
That
Yeah.
fence?
And
Could
through the
we-
historical society,
How is it done?
through the historical society.
Cause I was thinking it would be kinda nice. Put a little black fence dedicated, or through the generosity of Bob and Priscilla Foley,
Yeah.
just when we get the fence fixed up. put a
Yeah.
little plaque and
Yeah.
acknowledge that.
Okay, so we'll definitely do something this year. And, you know, I think like,
We'll wait a while.
oh yeah, wait for the fish,
turn,
the
but-
fish to stop biting and get a little nicer weather.
We'll do that.
And when we don't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Unmarked graves, cornerstones, I don't really think there's much else going on with that. You know, it's something that seems to just be sitting in the background and nothing crops up. It's an easy thing to skip by, but, you know, we do have a few out there that we probably have to deal with at one point or another, but.
Well, what we've been doing, when there's a burial. If you haven't, put cornerstones in, recharge them.
And I've done that,
Yeah.
some that needed cornerstones, we included that.
Don't we have though someone in Jerusalem?
Jerusalem,
Mashter?
a mash there in
Yeah.
Jerusalem has there's no gravestone and the contact passed away too, so.
Yeah.
I don't know, at some point. We need to maybe approach that again and.
I
You know,
thought-
I don't know whether a family would welcome that. I mean, you can't put a gravestone on somebody's grave without them knowing about it. I mean, they have to be contacted, so.
They had to be,
They do.
You
They
do,
The
that,
state statute is.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do, but you know, you should contact them first before
Yeah.
you just go ahead and do it. It's a small item. I mean, I did ask, Kloof Monuments what something like that would cost. Flush Mountain, it wasn't very much. It's, I don't know, a few $100s.
yeah.
So, you know, if for some reason we can figure out who the contact is, I don't mind contacting them, or I can have Mary write the letter.
yeah, we're just-
We can just say, see, Scooter told me that the family had plans to put something in there. So, you know, I kind of said, okay, but
Yeah,
now that Scooter's not here.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. But we'll, let's just leave that as pending, and if I get a little curious there one of these days, I'll start to look around, and maybe I'll give you, Bob, a call, and you had some names, and I can chase it down.
Yeah.
If I can figure out where to go. Future cremation vaults at Hart Cemetery.
I did meet with Don right after that, or something like that.
Yep.
I forgot what we got, no. He said he could do it.
You could
He
get it
could
out.
get it in there. He thought his mini loader, because of the weight of it, he could probably drive that.
Yeah.
In rather than having to take a crane. And then, like, I think what he'd really like to do is, if we decide, if we start really moving along, we'd like to meet with.
Yeah.
yeah,
We'd like to meet with him and
Yeah.
discuss how we get in there, but he was talking about the trees on the north side of the cemetery being kind of a problem for the
Yeah.
crane. But I'm thinking he could get in at the end possibly.
Yeah, I don't think they're as heavy as we thought they were.
He
Yeah.
thinks, when I
Yeah.
told him, I.
yeah, because he moved that, he did that one, right?
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
the one at St. Francis. Cemetery,
Okay,
right up by-
I'll have to go look at
Yeah,
that.
he did that, and he's been working with the company that makes that vault, or the guy in Barry or whatever.
I got a call from, Kevin, from Booth.
Yeah.
And he said that he had, he might be able to do a better price because there was a different manufacturer. And, you know, I want to be careful because I want to make sure with what we put in is something that is, you know, not lighter and, you know, has to last forever. So I
Right.
want to make sure it's made out of stone and has all of the safety features and things like that. But I figured what probably the right way to go about this is to contact our local, grave sellers, you know, stone sellers. And tell them what we are looking at doing is possibly putting in a couple of 24 unit columbariums. And ask to see what they have, number one, and what it would cost us. And then a lot of the price includes transportation, getting it there. And as our committee kind of, as we get closer to that, we can decide whether we want to have Don do that or include that in and have it be their responsibility. to get it
Hired
done.
Yeah, yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So, but I think the right way is to make sure they are all given a chance to tell us what they have.
I really like the one in Winooski much better than the ones in Milton.
Really? Okay. I'll
Yeah,
have to-
because of the way they match more like the front of the benches. They have the
Yeah.
piece along the bottom.
Yeah.
They just looked a lot more
I'll have to
regal or
I'll go
whatever.
down
and, yeah.
take a look at it
Yeah.
and I'll take pictures and where is that at?
St. Francis Xavier.
Where is that?
Um,
Is that off Weaver? or-
yeah, I Googled it, but there was so much,
When you go into
Yeah,
Winooski
yeah.
from the highway,
Yeah.
isn't it really the first right?
I believe so,
intersection?
yeah.
Like, and there's some industrial or commercial.
Egan Avenue, I think it
And
is.
then you take the first left and it's followed down and it's right.
Okay, oh, okay, I know where it is. It's
a
on the
big
right
thing.
as you're going down the hill. All right,
maybe
Is it-
find out
is
where
that-
they got it.
We do need to get a concrete base
Yeah,
yeah.
by somebody.
Yeah.
That would be something that we would-
Well, it'll be fairly expensive, I'm sure, but you know, that's the place to put it. If we can get it up
Yeah.
up there by the bench,
yeah,
it'll be gorgeous and, you know, all we have to do is
Yeah.
start selling them.
And then keep people coming into the
Yeah,
cemetery
yeah.
for a long time,
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
like South End.
Yeah.
Or Station Road.
yeah.
Well, okay, so what we'll do is, we'll, you know, turn that into our next project. Fence replacement, I talked to Mike White today and, he's doing okay. He had some heart issues that were unresolved. He wore the monitor that didn't prove anything and had stress tests and all kinds of stuff and, said his heart seems healthy. So he's planning on doing our projects this spring. And he said he'd like to start by the end of this month. So I said, well, we as a board, we can, you know, work around what your schedule is, but you know, if you're going to get it done this year, that's what we're looking for. And so I expect that he'll start on one or the other. I don't know what the prices are. I didn't talk to him about that. And he gave us a quote, but you know, it was a couple of years ago, so, but we're gonna move ahead with it. We do
Yeah.
need to replace those. He's the one that's gonna do it, so we've already voted for that. His son is gonna help him some, but, not every day, so his son has another side business and so some days he may be working alone, but he'll get it done. So. And we have the natural burial wildflower project.
Oh.
That's you.
We purchased all of them, they're ready to go. I spoke with Chad, and cause we had the issue with the spring. Thaw, when we had to clean out the snow, and he recommended that he hardly rake everything.
Mhm.
He wrote it till hardly rake it on, then we could spend our time painting the fence rather than raking out that line.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Then we could be ready to see
and
the.
maybe he'd hardly rake the driveway, cause
Yeah.
that looks really nice
He
when
usually
that,
does.
and it's been a few years since he's done it, so.
Well, I'm sure he'll do that.
yeah.
'Cause it looks really nice when it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
Why don't you, see what he can do?
Mhm.
Um,
Well, and under the flag with this new business, we're not having to spend the money we allocated to the flag because the masons and South.
Yeah.
Are giving them to the three towns.
yeah,
They're picking up where the VFW left off.
no, that's
So we
awesome.
have that money that was in the budget, so.
Go ahead and, see what you can get him to do. Unfortunately, we had that natural burial this winter
Mhm.
and, we had to clear the snow. I mean, there was just no two ways about it and it was at a really cold time, so he ran his plow down and he picked up some gravel and, it kind of messed up the yard. I mean, it's just the way it goes. And then unfortunately, we had a huge thaw on the weekend of the burial, so I drove up to just check out to make sure everything was okay. And, my truck sunk right in and so I met with funeral people and I said, make sure the people stay on the gravel part, don't let them drive into that area where we cleared of snow. But he cleared that before I caught him. I wouldn't have had him go down that way because, I knew we had had that tilled up and it turned
Look at it
into,
all fixed up and.
so,
Was that Tracy?
yeah. And it was great that they did it because he did it with like no notice. I
notice,
just said,
yeah,
we've got this immediate need, we need to, and it was deep snow. So we said, we need to get, 5 or 10 cars up in there and it's coming on Tuesday, so. He went and did it Friday. So,
For clarity, that driveway goes the whole loop. right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Come in, go.
Yeah,
around,
right
go back, go to
around
the
and-
back, come back. down.
Yeah.
have him
Every.
do, whatever he can to, square it away.
Yeah.
And, not a problem. And you get that authorization to coordinate that with him. And then whatever he wants to do with, is he gonna till or just Harley?
Well, I don't know, I
See
thought
what it looks
the
like.
plan was he was gonna till it anyway,
Yeah,
like in the spring, chop up the
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But, so they probably till it, then if I hurry rake it, and then we can just go there.
Yep.
We'll plant, it's supposed to rain.
when would you think would be a good time to plant that? Toward the end of
end
the
of
month?
May,
or-
probably,
In May, so,
yeah, end of May, I would say, mid-May.
you know,
Yeah,
cause well, the way it's going right now, it took quite a few days to
Yeah,
yeah,
get the soil warmed up, and he can't get in there.
Yeah.
I'll tell him, I'll put that on his.
yeah,
oh, good.
Do you already? Did you?
He was
get
already-
these?
Yeah, I have this.
Oh, yeah.
Ready to go. Tracy saw, right away.
Look at this.
New business Hal Trust CD is currently in a 6-month CD. I believe it comes up for renewal on July 7th. Do we want to continue? For some reason, 6 months seems to be one of the better timeframes as far as the interest on it. And I can't figure out why it would be that way, but it had a better interest on 6 month and then did a 12 month, which didn't make any sense to me, but. Do we,
yes, why?
do we want to just vote and,
Are we gonna need any of it for if we do the columbariums? If we do, especially if we do 2 of them?
yes,
And the fence,
yes, we will.
so, but
Um,
probably wouldn't get it before July. It comes due in July?
It comes due in July, yeah. So why don't we, at this point, we'll table that. I'll make sure I touch base with Corinne. And when that comes up near renewal, then we can always, decide on if we need the money. We can just have her
Yeah,
not reinvest
not
it.
because she can do it after we pay everybody.
Yeah,
Then she can put it in another one.
I think it'd be pretty tough to expect, well, we could get the columbariums in.
Yeah,
In that time frame.
Yeah.
So, in all likelihood. It probably would take most of this summer just to, get
get
it
it
in
work,
order.
yeah,
and
yeah,
It go in the following year, so.
okay.
Bob Camp, returned a double lot in Hyde Cemetery. And there was, Bev, I guess, is in, Seattle. And they buried Bob in Seattle, so she donated the double lot back to the town.
And is it really 2 lots?
It is two
So it
lots.
fit,
Yes.
it fit on the map, okay?
Yes.
And-
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is 2 lots.
Okay,
Um,
2 of the new lots, right?
well, and Mary worked with Pontum.
Yeah,
It was, I forgot what row it was, but, it was lot 8. And, the only way to do it is on this paper one, we can draw a line that has to be 8-1 and 8-2. That's the only way Pontum would accept it.
Yeah.
Or if somebody wanted to buy a double lot, we could sell it to them without changing anything.
yeah,
Because it is a double lot. If we break it into 2, that gives us the option of selling
yeah,
one to one person and one to another. Or if somebody wants the 2 together, we can sell it to them back that way, with the single lot
Yeah.
prices.
What the problem is with Ponton is. I figured out with them that we could call it 8-1 and 8-2.
yeah,
But we can't change the map. Because if we change the map in the Ponton system, they put in a whole new map. And then I've got to go through every single gravesite. and
Oh, my God.
attach, so that people can find it on the
Yeah.
map. And, it would take hours.
so what
Some
is it
way
in
to
there
do
right
it.
now, lot 8?
Lot 8,
But lot 8 is 2 lots.
Yes, and there
Yeah.
is there is a red, in red letters, it says C note.
Yeah.
Or something like that it kind of flags it and tells you there's something to do with that.
Yeah, something special
But,
about it.
Yeah,
So if we sold it as 2 lots, don't try to sell it as 2 lots only, we wouldn't have.
it wouldn't have that.
I think we should try to sell it as 2.
Yeah, I don't think we should,
I don't think
so.
since they gave it back, I think we should sell it as 2 single lots.
Yeah.
Single lots or,
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
sell it as 2 single
because we're
lots.
selling everything as single. There's no
Okay.
doubles left anymore.
and that won't make a difference on the map or the.
well, we would just have to leave the map the way it is.
But it'd be 8-1 and 8-2. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sell it anyway we can.
The only other issue and why it's on the agenda is, she sent us the original deed and we have that. But she never got it notarized. But, and I talked to Corinne about it and she said, well, just make sure the board knows. I mean, it's legit. I talked to her personally. She made out the affidavit that you have to have. And we have that, passing it back to the town, but, and I told her to get it notarized out there. She didn't do that.
Are we giving her money back or
Or
she just?
She didn't want the money.
back? Yeah,
No, it was a total donation
yeah,
back to the town. We thanked her and, it's just to make it totally right by what the policy says.
yeah,
But we didn't want to bother to have to send it back out there and tell her she's got to go get it notarized.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's,
we had a guy thing for Bob up here.
Yeah.
I came up and talked to her about it.
Yeah.
And because she wasn't thinking about it. And I told him to get all of you.
yeah, she did. And, we arranged it all and, I don't know why she didn't get it notarized. I mean, it was just, when it came back, there was no stamp on it, but, it's not that big a deal, but, the board just needs to, I guess, vote to accept that lot back. And then we'll turn around and resell it. So somebody will want it, I'm sure.
yeah.
So, make a motion to, accept, that return of the lot as is.
I make that motion.
Okay,
second my dad.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So passed. Okay. Plans for stone repair and cleaning. I don't know if anybody had a chance to go up and look at North End, but man, it looks pretty good.
Mm.
They did a nice job and, there was some pretty dark colored stones up there. and it's looking a lot better. So I would like to, pick one of our cemeteries to have them do that this year, and I can I can give it to them to do, in the springtime, and then whenever they get to it. He said they like to do them in the fall because,
Have downtime,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a kind of a downtime where everything slows up and, it's a good filler for them, but they did a nice job.
Yeah,
And, he fixed some of the stones that were up there too, so what do you guys all think as far as what we'd like to get done this year? For cleaning and repair? Which,
Either south or I,
Hyde, we have quite a few in Hyde that are toppled.
yeah.
all right,
I say.
so let's do
Yeah.
that.
Hyde. And then I wonder I've been going through a lot of the old paperwork, if there's a way for us to keep track of the actual stone and when it was cleaned or repaired, not the cleaning so much, if it was repaired each year so that we can say, we repaired 7 stones and these are the 7.
No,
Could the
I'm-
guy take a picture of as part of the deal?
Yeah.
Cause everybody has.
I
Yeah.
Cause there are 10 identified.
Yeah,
That would be great, and that would help me. 'cause
yeah, and then you could also put it in the, you
Yeah.
could put it in the software.
No, I could talk to him. I think Kloof did a good job, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was an outrageous, I think he charged us 3,000. And, there was a lot of stones over there, and there were a lot of them that he straightened out. He said, I went over and I met Kevin there, and he said, that one's leaning. He said, it's not a problem now, but
Yeah,
2-3 years
Yeah.
down the road, it could fall right over.
Yeah.
So I said, well, when he's here, bill us separately for repairs and just go ahead and do it. And they did a good job, so I'm
Yeah.
confident that, we should have them do.
Yeah.
Do that.
no, I would just an added piece for history and,
Yeah.
that.
I'll
that-
mention
and For
that.
like the town report even to have a before and after
Yeah.
picture and,
Mm.
I just see that Alberg is using some of their ARPA
it's a good
funds
thing,
to do that.
good thing.
Yeah.
I'll just also put a note in the Veterans Master when it's been done.
Yeah,
So like, for example, Veterans at Northern Cemetery, I can just put a note, this was cleaned
yes,
in the fall of
Yeah.
24.
Yeah.
Okay. And repaired.
I think he cleaned pretty much every stone.
yeah,
there.
that's what they usually do.
He went right down the line.
Yeah, it's not so much that, I'm thinking it's the ones that are, broken or
Yeah.
toppled over or going to topple.
You think he could do South End at the same time? Cause it's not a great big cemetery.
Well, I mean, if the board wanted to spend money, and get it done. I'm not against that. I noticed that there are some that are starting to show some, dirt. and
Tipping
things.
over there too. I
You know,
mean,
they
if he could do them both,
Yeah,
then next year Jerusalem.
and then you'd be in good
That's
shape.
probably not in bad shape as anything.
I can approach him and just see if he can fit them on.
Should we make that motion? I make a motion that we have Plouffe look at South Cemetery and Hyde Cemetery for cleaning and repairing stones.
Yes,
Second,
yes. Second, yes.
okay. So we'll do it. I think that's a really good use of money. Cause if you let it go and it gets too far out of whack, then, you have more work to do in the end and I've heard that our cemeteries are really in good shape as far as what a lot of people see, so.
Getting back to, North Cemetery. Okay. As you go in, all the way to the end, and down to the other fence.
Yeah.
We had a stone in there where it's unmarked grave.
Yeah.
Right next to it. We discovered it when we were, had that tested, that area.
Yeah.
There's a vault in the ground right next to it. And we don't know who it is.
Well. It's probably really old.
I think I put 4 of those little markers on the corners there.
Oh, okay,
I think I did. If I didn't, I still got some. I'll give them to you
okay,
when I find them.
okay.
So you walk in the gate,
Certainly,
you walk in from the road,
yeah,
and then you head straight across the
yeah,
cemetery.
yeah.
And go
Off to the
left.
Go left down
Left,
towards.
it's right on the corner.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a vault down
yeah.
there.
Yeah, we have 2 on 9s.
You see the last grave, there is an unknown soldier.
Mhm.
We got locked there on the ground, right next to it.
Oh, it's a veteran?
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
Oh, you
no,
don't know.
The veterans to the right of it.
Oh, okay.
But nobody knows who's.
We
buried.
just know there's a burial there.
And
Yeah.
you have that in the software too? Yeah, awesome.
Well, those people found it, they did the research,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, that's another thing, and I don't know how that technology is, but maybe for a future year, we can try to recover. We do have areas of a couple of cemeteries where we don't have a clue.
Yeah.
That whole area in Jerusalem has some, and at Hyde too, so. Maybe that's something we could look into.
Well, that middle section at Jerusalem we have a marker there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Pocket.
Yeah.
Roger Pocket, I was pretty sure that there were graves there.
yeah.
And that-
There was also a huge, because I found that there was a huge enormous tree we had taken out of there,
yeah.
big. So that also might account for a big empty space.
Yeah.
A lot of lots probably couldn't be sold,
Yeah,
because
because of the
was there.
tree. And then the new part and the old part.
And the trees are actually looking like trees. that-
Yes, finally. But probably need a couple though, just a couple spots where you could,
No offense, I haven't looked at it. Are there any trees on the other side of the fence? Look like they're coming down.
There's a tree on the back that it's on, Emmons land.
Yeah,
We can take it down, or maybe we could talk him into it. I mean, I looked at it, but it's gonna be expensive. The tree guys, they're getting an arm and a leg now for it.
yeah, yeah.
It was pointed out to me by Jim Martin that, he said that tree is gonna end up coming down and
we've
busting.
been watching it for years.
Yeah.
But
There's also a really nice, I don't know what it is, maybe it's a soft maple or something like that on the left-hand side. It's growing right next to the fence,
mm,
and it's a really nice tree, but,
gonna push the fence.
yeah, it's pretty close to the fence, so when we get ready to do that fence project, maybe we'll have to deal with it one way or another. It's on our land.
Have you talked to Edmonds about it?
I did, yeah,
Yeah.
and he said that, I think it was Craig. He
Yeah.
said, we could take it down,
Yeah.
and I started thinking about it, well, not a big deal, and then I asked Tracy what he thought it would cost, and he said it would be in the thousands.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, geez, I thought it'd be like 1,000, and, it's not. It'd be
The one
like-
they took across the road next was 7,000.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
but, if it has to happen, it has to happen. so.
Yeah,
They're all busy.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
God,
they gotta be
definitely.
now. I mean, you look at the dead trees all around.
everywhere.
Tracy told me they counted 900 in town just along the road that should end up coming out.
Well, the thing was, like, they looked good in my yard too. They looked good and they didn't, this winter, the bark is all over the ground. They're like gone now.
Yeah, it's so quick.
Yeah,
I would never thought it would be that quick.
no, and then now I'm looking up and you can see the bark on a lot of them and
Yeah.
they're shredded.
Yeah.
and Crazy.
For our flags, so we're all set.
We're all set.
When are you gonna do that?
First weekend in May.
What? They gotta get, I'm now.
Bring his coat.
I have to distribute the flags throughout the southern end of the county. That's a new job I was.
No.
Oh, good for you.
In South Carolina, Grand Island.
Yeah.
So we're gonna work together as we can stuff,
Oh, good.
nice.
get flags.
Well, see how they're setting for flag holders. Maybe we can work with some of the other towns too and, help them, they could help us or whatever, so.
Definitely, cause it's not done by the cemetery board in South Carolina.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
What is it, by the VFW or?
It's done, was it?
Islands On Lodge,
Glenn Wells, maybe he was a veteran, he's been doing it, cause I talked to Jimmy Robinson, Stevie Robinson, and Sammy Robinson, and they're the board. They had no idea who did the flag,
Well,
so
Oh.
then Mike and, one of Mike and Phil, the students taken over, and it's kind of a, they do it first, South Hero, but there's no board at all.
Huh.
To them, I guess.
Interesting.
So did I hear you say you have a list?
Mhm.
Because I also came across a lot of the old lists, so I'd love to have a copy of the lists for the Historical Society by cemetery.
Of the veterans?
Yes,
I would like one too,
yeah,
I'll share.
because I wanna make
Yeah.
sure that's in the
Yeah.
software.
because people look often and
And
just
then
have
we
it over
might
there.
get some that are veterans that no one knows.
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
And that'd be even better. if we
Yeah.
could honor that, like
yeah.
somebody.
Okay, I just added on the agenda burial lot prices. Everybody pretty good with where we are now, or is that something we want to tackle on a future timeframe? We are among the lowest in the area when I
Yeah.
looked at it, but you know, we're selling them and, I guess if there's a need for additional revenue, it might be a reason to raise it, but other than that,
I think once we get the columbarium going, then we can either raise.
Right.
Raise the prices, I think.
yeah, and then look at the natural burial too,
Yeah.
because that, we're doing those at a pretty good clip.
Yeah.
So,
Would that, if we really, if that's sold out. then
yeah,
Could we use the lower part of the
Mm.
convent, the other part of the cemetery where like. There are graves right now, we just cut the,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of spots,
we could expand.
yeah. Could expand both ways,
if you
really.
could figure out a way to live that long.
I
Let me know,
was
let me know your
just gonna make a
secret.
comment about that.
Yeah, well-
Let me know your secret.
No, Mike is gonna live for really long time.
Well, she's healthy.
That's right.
Okay, so we're gonna leave the lot prices the way they are, but we'll, maybe we'll look at it, at the end of our summer meeting, as a possible 2026. If we feel there's a need to come more in line with some of the surrounding towns, then maybe we can look at it and tackle that, for 26. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah,
All right, open meeting procedures, this thing came from Corinne, I think everybody probably got a copy of it. The long and short of it is, Tracy had a bad experience with her community hall meeting and she got
Bombed.
Zoom bombed. And, can't stop it, you have open meeting laws, which prevent you from pulling the plug or you gotta keep your meeting going, or you have to reconvene the meeting and try again. With the exception of you can call your meeting, strictly in-person meeting without offering Zoom. And I talked to Tracy briefly, when she first got here, there's really no reason for us to do a Zoom. We've never had anybody do it.
We've never had anybody come to the meeting, I think in the 40 years I've done it. I mean, unless we've invited them,
Yeah, unless they were invited.
unless, so
Natural burial type of town.
yeah, but we invited her.
I think what we ought to do, in view of this, I mean, nobody wants to go through that and there's a lot of procedures. What you have to do if you're going to have a hybrid meeting, you've got to appoint somebody to be the keeper of this, so you have to have somebody running it and be able to get up and take people on, put them in and out. To me, that's more work than what it's worth. I'd like somebody to make a motion to, if the board is in agreement to that, to just keep our meetings as in person. Keep it
I
simple.
make a motion.
I'll second.
All in
I don't
favor?
want
Yep,
Opposed? It's passed. Yeah, that's the easiest way around it. And then the last thing is our finances, the last two pages kind of show where we're at year to date. And what we have, we've got
26.
$126,000, 75 in our CD and 50 in our general fund. That 50 will be reduced probably by around low 30s for the two fence projects. So we'll be going into or finishing up this fiscal year probably with somewhere around 15 to 20,000 in our fund. And then when we do our budgets for the next year, it'll be a little easier to pass it down for more money. On the town contribution to start. We just, we've got to take care of this 50,000, and we thought we were gonna do it last year, but it didn't happen.
Well, between the fences and the columbariums and the cleaning,
Oh, yeah,
so I mean, we
that'll
should
take that right
that
out.
down, yeah.
So, there will be a need for us to look at our budgeting process and
That was another thing I noticed in the collection of old paperwork was how many people used to give to the cemetery commission as donations.
oh,
And I don't know when, can't remember the last time we've gotten one where somebody said, other than, house. But these were like $50, $100,
Yeah.
and here's to the cemetery commission to do your work. And
wow,
I was kind of surprised, kind of forgotten it.
Well, maybe they can do an article in the Islander about our patriotism.
Yeah.
They're accepting donations.
Well, I thought in the town report too, because a lot of people have, what's it called, perpetual care and things like that.
yeah.
So maybe just put a little blurb about,
Well, it's getting back to, I thank Bob for all he's done.
yeah.
And what our board has. I mean, our cemetery commission has done a good job. I mean, we have money
Yeah,
and our cemeteries are in good shape.
yeah.
And,
People notice it,
thank you, Bob.
yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, a number of years ago, I was at Hyde. And there was this woman there and she came up and asked me a question. She had a relative buried there and the son was leaning. I said, we're planning on having that taken care of. And she thanked me. Then I guess she checked it. And again, until it was done, she made a donation to the library,
Oh, well,
Yeah.
you know.
it's okay. It's all part of the town and, but, I think this would be a tough job if we were sitting broke all the time
And a
and.
lot of them have given up their commissions because they have no money and no
Yeah.
support, so,
And we have
It's-
this Tracy taking care of
yeah,
the cemeteries.
Yeah.
Yeah. yeah, it'll be a huge expense.
Damn spam. Well, I guess that should do it. Anybody have anything else to bring up or? We can adjourn the meeting at, whatever time it is. What time is it?
5:20, yeah, 6:20.
6:20.
Make a motion to
Meeting.
adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pass. Thank you very much. Bob, sorry to have this be your last meeting. If
We
you-
brought cookies.
Yeah, take some cookies.
Forgot about those.
I
Where did we do that?
I hate to see you go.
What's that?
Oh, wow.
They're already at. The chocolate chip cookies from Susan. I can, who did this? Susan did.
Tracy, do you have your Gmail on your phone?
Yeah. I'll check it.
Maybe you two could just see Mary and Tracy if the sharing of the document went through.
Okay, yep.
It was, yeah, and it's just a share, so,
I have a horrible time getting
Beautiful.
Getting
Thank you so much.
where, like,
do.
I have a.
Grandkids.
I have a Chromebook and I'll do like the agenda and I have to mess around with it to get it to go out. And it won't
Thank
be,
you
it
so
won't be clickable.
Yum, yum.
hit the combo.
But with the sharing in Gmail, you can only share it with someone who has Gmail.
Yeah.
So sometimes people don't, they'll have like Hotmail or AOL or something.
Yeah,
Okay, I got it. Good, perfect. So you should be able to print that
Yeah,
and.
put it in a
Okay,
little
yeah.
notebook thing.
And I don't think you can change it, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Yeah, deleting it.
Yeah, deleting it, exactly. Here, you can take the back.
Thanks, Susan, very much for the.
He tried to leave his on the way home. Did you turn off?
oh,
I'm just gonna see if it's.
how do you shut it off?
Well, yeah, probably part of it won't know.